Captain Jessa Malik rubbed her eyes for the 100th time in the past hour. The bridge of the Horizon Drift smelled like burnt wiring and recycled coffee, neither of which helped her splitting headache. 40 hours. That's how long they'd been running repairs on the quantum drive after it had hiccuped mid-jump. 40 hours of crawling through maintenance tubes, rerouting power conduits, and praying the entire ship didn't tear itself apart in subspace. "Captain, we're ready to resume course," Navigation Officer Thomas Reed announced from his station. The kid, and at 23, he was still a kid in Jessa's eyes, looked as exhausted as she felt. His hands trembled slightly as they moved across the holographic display. "Double-check our position, Thomas," Jessa said, leaning back in her chair. "I don't want any more surprises today." "Already did, Captain. We're in neutral space, Zone 14. Clear path back to the trade lanes." From the engineering console, Chief Engineer Bowen cross-grunted. The grizzled veteran had been working in Starship engines since before Jessa was born, and she trusted his instincts more than any computer readout. "Something feel off to you, Bowen?" she asked. He scratched his gray beard, squinting at his monitors. "Drive's humming weird. Not bad weird, just different. Might have shifted our calibration when we fixed that coupling." "Define shifted," Jessa said, straightening in her seat. "Could be nothing. Could be we're reading distances a bit wrong. Maybe 5–10% off." Thomas waved a hand dismissively. "The navigational boys are showing us exactly where we should be. We're fine." Jessa exchanged a glance with Bowen. The old engineer raised an eyebrow that said youth and overconfidence. But they were all exhausted, and the sooner they got moving, the sooner they could reach Station Vela and collapse into actual beds instead of sleeping in shifts on the bridge. "All right," Jessa decided. "Take us forward, nice and slow. If anything looks strange, we stop immediately." The Horizon Drift lurched forward, its engines building to a steady thrum. Through the viewports, stars stretched into familiar lines as they accelerated. Jessa watched the sensor displays, looking for anomalies. Everything seemed normal. Trade ships passed in the distance, their transponders blinking friendly acknowledgments. Station markers appeared right where they should be. Then Thomas gasped. "Captain, we've got a problem. A big one." Jessa was on her feet instantly. "What is it?" "The markers, they're not trade lane markers. They're..." His face went pale. "They're Dominion border beacons." The blood drained from Jessa's face. Every human in known space knew about the Dominion border. The massive black structures that warned all species to stay away. The line that hadn't been crossed by any civilization in centuries. The boundary that promised instant destruction to violators. "How close are we?" she demanded. "Captain," Thomas whispered, his voice cracking. "We're not close. We're already past it. We crossed 2 minutes ago." Silence crashed over the bridge like a physical weight. Bowen stopped breathing. Jessa felt her heart hammering against her ribs. They had crossed into Dominion space. Accidentally, stupidly, because they were too tired to triple-check their readings. "Reverse course," Jessa ordered, her voice steadier than she felt. "Now." But before the ship could turn, the sensors erupted in alarms. Red signatures appeared on every screen, dozens of them, surrounding the Horizon Drift like predators circling wounded prey. Massive vessels materialized from nowhere, their hulls black as obsidian, their weapons ports glowing with menacing crimson light. The main view screen flickered, and a face appeared. Not human. Not anything Jessa had ever seen before. Tall, with skin that seemed to shimmer between silver and gold, eyes that held intelligence and something else, ancient authority that made her feel small and primitive. Unknown vessel, the being spoke, its voice resonating with harmonics that hurt to hear. "You have violated the sacred boundary of Dominion space. Identify yourselves and explain this transgression." Jessa stepped forward, acutely aware that every word could mean life or death for her crew. "This is Captain Jessa Malik of the Earth vessel Horizon Drift. We crossed your border by accident. We had equipment malfunction and navigation errors. We meant no disrespect and request permission to leave immediately." The being, what had to be the Dominion commander, tilted its head. "Your species is unknown to us. You are human?" "Yes. We're explorers and traders, not warriors. This was a mistake." "Mistakes have consequences, Captain Malik." The commander's expression didn't change, but something in its tone made Jessa's skin crawl. "You will now perform the rite of submission. Lower your eyes, avert your gaze from me, and remain in that position until we have decided your fate." Jessa blinked, confused. "I'm sorry, What? It is tradition. All species who enter our space must show deference. Look away. Now. But Jessa was exhausted. Her brain was foggy from lack of sleep. She was trying desperately to understand what was happening, to process the threat, to figure out how to save her crew. So she did what any confused, tired person would do. She stared at the Dominion commander, trying to comprehend his words, her eyes wide and unblinking as she struggled to make sense of this bizarre demand. Behind the commander, other Dominion officers began murmuring. Their faces showed something Jessa couldn't identify. Shock? Fear? The commander himself leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. You refuse? He asked quietly. Refuse what? Jessa asked, genuinely bewildered. You will not lower your gaze. I'm trying to understand what you're asking. Silence. The commander's voice cut through the bridge. In 800 years, no species has dared maintain eye contact with a Dominion High Warden. You have issued a challenge, human. And by our oldest laws, we must answer it. Jessa's stomach dropped. Wait, I didn't challenge. The right of defiance has been invoked, the commander declared, and across the galaxy, automated systems began broadcasting this moment to every civilization, every species, every world. Humanity refuses to blink first. And just like that, Jessa realized she'd accidentally started something that could change everything. Ambassador Derek Holt was having a pleasant morning on Earth when his entire world collapsed. He'd just finished his third cup of tea, was reviewing trade agreements with the Centauri Coalition, and was looking forward to a quiet day of paperwork. Then his communication console exploded with alerts. Sir, you need to see this, his assistant burst through the door, not even bothering to knock. It's everywhere. Every channel, every species broadcast network, every. Slow down, Derek said, setting down his cup. What's everywhere? His assistant activated the wall screen. A live feed appeared, showing the horizon drift surrounded by Dominion warships. And there, on split screen, was Captain Jessa Malik staring directly at a Dominion High Warden while he explained something called the Trial of Presence. Derek's teacup slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. How long has this been broadcasting? He demanded. 17 minutes. Sir, it's not just humans watching. The Dominion opened this feed to the entire galaxy. They're making an example of us. Derek grabbed his coat. Get me a ship to Dominion space. Now. And someone find me everything we have on their cultural protocols. Sir, there is no data. No one has interacted with the Dominion in centuries. They've been completely isolated. Then we improvise. Derek was already running toward the landing platforms. And get me a direct line to that ship. Across the galaxy, in the towering crystal chambers of the Dominion Council, Arbiter Vexthan observed the human vessel with ancient eyes. He was old, older than most civilizations currently existing. He'd been present when the Dominion established its borders, when they'd created the right of submission, when they'd built the system that kept other species in their place. But this was unprecedented. The human maintains her stare, one of his advisors reported. 23 minutes now. She has not blinked. She has not looked away. Vexthan's crystalline fingers tapped together thoughtfully. Does she understand what she's done? Our linguists believe she was confused at first. But High Warden Kelthris explained the trial. She knows now. And still, she stares. The Arbiter stood, his robes shifting like liquid starlight. Then we proceed according to the ancient laws. She has 72 hours to maintain her defiance. If she breaks, her species is marked as subordinate forever. If she succeeds. He paused. If she succeeds, humanity must be recognized as equals. No species has ever lasted 72 hours, another advisor protested. The psychological pressure alone. Which is precisely why the law exists, Vexthan interrupted. To separate the truly strong from the merely ambitious. On Earth, in a cramped apartment overlooking Neo-Sol, journalist Sienna Park was scrambling to set up her broadcast equipment. She'd been a minor reporter covering trade disputes and colony development stories. Nothing exciting. Nothing that would make her career. Until 17 minutes ago, when her people accidentally challenged the most powerful force in the galaxy. Are we live? She asked her drone camera. 3, 2, 1, you're on. Sienna took a breath and faced the camera. This is Sienna Park reporting on what's being called the staring contest of the century. For those just tuning in, Captain Jessa Malik of the civilian vessel Horizon Drift has accidentally invoked something called the Trial of Presence, a Dominion ritual where her refusal to look away is being interpreted as a challenge to their authority. She pulled up the live feed behind her. As you can see, Captain Malik is still maintaining eye contact with High Warden Kelthris. She's been doing this for 24 minutes now. According to Dominion law, which we're learning about in real time, she must continue for 72 hours without breaking her gaze, or humanity will be forever classified as a subordinate species. Her communicator buzzed. Messages flooded in from across Earth and human colonies. People were glued to their screens. Entire cities had stopped working to watch. This wasn't just news anymore. This was history happening live. The human maintains her stare, one of his advisors reported. 23 minutes now. She has not blinked. She has not looked away. Vexthan's crystalline fingers tapped together thoughtfully. Does she understand what she's done? Our linguists believe she was confused at first. But High Warden Kelthris explained the trial. She knows now. And still, she stares. The arbiter stood, his robes shifting like liquid starlight. Then we proceed according to the ancient laws. She has 72 hours to maintain her defiance. If she breaks, her species is marked as subordinate forever. If she succeeds. He paused. If she succeeds, humanity must be recognized as equals. No species has ever lasted 72 hours, another advisor protested. The psychological pressure alone. Which is precisely why the law exists, Vexthan interrupted. To separate the truly strong from the merely ambitious. On Earth, in a cramped apartment overlooking Neo-Sol, journalist Sienna Park was scrambling to set up her broadcast equipment. She'd been a minor reporter covering trade disputes and colony development stories. Nothing exciting. Nothing that would make her career. Until 17 minutes ago, when her people accidentally challenged the most powerful force in the galaxy. Are we live? She asked her drone camera. 3, 2, 1, you're on. Sienna took a breath and faced the camera. This is Sienna Park reporting on what's being called the staring contest of the century. For those just tuning in, Captain Jessa Malik of the civilian vessel Horizon Drift has accidentally invoked something called the Trial of Presence, a Dominion ritual where her refusal to look away is being interpreted as a challenge to their authority. She pulled up the live feed behind her. As you can see, Captain Malik is still maintaining eye contact with High Warden Kelthris. She's been doing this for 24 minutes now. According to Dominion law, which we're learning about in real time, she must continue for 72 hours without breaking her gaze, or humanity will be forever classified as a subordinate species. Her communicator buzzed. Messages flooded in from across Earth and human colonies. People were glued to their screens. Entire cities had stopped working to watch. This wasn't just news anymore. This was history happening live. On the Horizon Drift, Jessa's eyes were already burning. She'd blinked twice since this started, quick, rapid blinks that High Warden Kelthris had permitted as physiologically necessary. But she couldn't look away. Couldn't close her eyes for more than a fraction of a second. Couldn't show weakness. Captain, Thomas whispered from beside her. Earth is trying to reach us. Ambassador Holt wants to negotiate. Not now, Jessa muttered, barely moving her lips. She'd learned quickly that any significant movement was scrutinized by the Dominion observers. Bowen approached from her other side, holding a water bottle with a straw. You need to stay hydrated. Small sips. I'll hold it. Jessa drank gratefully without breaking her stare. The Dominion commander, Kelthris, watched her with an expression she still couldn't read. Was it respect? Curiosity? Amusement at her inevitable failure? 68 hours to go, she whispered. We'll rotate the crew, Bowen said quietly. You don't have to do this alone. But on the view screen, Kelthris spoke. Only Captain Malik may fulfill the trial. She issued the challenge. She must complete it. If others attempt to substitute, the trial is forfeit and your species is judged subordinate. Jessa felt her stomach clench. 72 hours. Alone. Staring without rest. She was going to fail. They were all going to pay for her exhausted mistake. But then something unexpected happened. On the lower corner of her display, she saw the broadcast feed. Saw Sienna Park reporting. Saw crowds gathering on Earth. Saw human faces from a dozen colonies watching with hope. And she saw something else. On the public channels, other species were watching too. The Varine, a species known to be subservient to the Dominion. The Korth, who'd been conquered centuries ago. The Melantha, who'd given up their independence rather than face annihilation. They were all watching. All hoping. all wondering if humanity could do what they hadn't dared. Derek Holt's voice crackled through a channel. Captain Malik, this is Ambassador Holt. I'm en route to your position. Whatever you do, don't give up. You're not just representing your crew anymore. You're representing every species that's ever been forced to bow. Jess's eyes burned. Her head throbbed. Her entire body screamed for rest. But she straightened her spine, locked her gaze on Kelthris, and spoke clearly. Then I won't blink. Not for 72 hours. Not for 72 days if that's what it takes. Because humans don't surrender. We don't bow. And we definitely don't blink first. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. The Dominion had issued their challenge. Humanity had accepted. And the clock was ticking. Sienna Park, watching from her apartment-turned-makeshift studio, spoke to her growing audience. Ladies and gentlemen, beings of all species, we are witnessing something extraordinary. Captain Malik isn't just fighting for her ship anymore. She's fighting for the idea that no one should have to look away. That defiance isn't a crime. That equals face each other eye to eye. She paused, watching Jess's unwavering stare on the screen. And I think she might actually win. In his crystal chambers, Arbiter Vexthan watched the same broadcast. A smile crossed his ancient face, the first genuine smile in centuries. Good, he whispered to the empty room. Perhaps this species is what we've been waiting for. Hour 37. Jessa Malik's vision had started playing tricks on her. The edges of High Warden Kelthris blurred and sharpened randomly. Colors seemed too bright, then too dim. Her eyes felt like they were filled with sand, and every blink, those quick, necessary half-second closures, felt like sweet relief that ended too soon. Captain, your vitals are dropping, Dr. Rachel Osei's voice came through her earpiece. The ship's psychologist had been monitoring her constantly since hour 12. Heart rate is erratic. You need to regulate your breathing. Can't focus on breathing, Jessa murmured. Have to focus on him. Rachel's voice softened. Then I'll breathe with you. In through your nose, 2, 3, 4. Out through your mouth, 2, 3, 4. Jessa followed the rhythm. It helped. Marginally. On the view screen, Kelthris hadn't moved in hours. He stood like a statue, those strange shimmerskin features absolutely still. But Jessa had noticed something. Around hour 20, his eye movements had changed. Less confident. More curious. Like he was studying her instead of judging her. Outside the horizon drift, the scene had transformed. What started with Dominion warships now included vessels from across the galaxy. Hundreds of them, keeping a respectful distance but clearly watching. News ships. Diplomatic observers. Species Jessa had never heard of. And then the human reinforcements arrived. Admiral Vernon Pike's flagship, the Valiant Dawn, dropped out of quantum space with a battle group of 20 ships. Jessa's heart lurched. This could either save them or doom them. This is Admiral Pike to Dominion forces, his voice boomed across all channels. We're here to support Captain Malik. Not to fight. To support. Kelthris spoke for the first time in hours. Your presence is noted, Admiral. But it changes nothing. The trial continues. Captain Malik stands alone. Understood, Pike replied. But she doesn't stand unseen. The whole galaxy is watching. And if anything happens to her or her crew, every human ship in space will know about it. It wasn't a threat. Not exactly. But the implication hung in the void like smoke. Inside the Dominion Council chambers, Arbiter Vexthan was in heated discussion with the other elders. But one figure sat apart from the argument, Dominion Elder Carrix, so ancient his form seemed more energy than matter. Brothers and sisters, Carrix spoke, his voice like wind through canyons. Perhaps we should share the truth. The chamber fell silent. What truth? Another elder demanded. Carrix stood, his form flickering. The trial of presence was never meant to subjugate. It was meant to find equals. For 8 centuries, we've waited for a species with the courage to stare back at us. Every species that looked away confirmed they accepted their place. But these humans? He gestured to the screens showing Jessa's unwavering gaze. They didn't even know it was a test, and still they refused to submit. Vexthan nodded slowly. You suggest we've been waiting for them. I suggest we've been lonely, Carrix replied. And perhaps it's time to stop being alone. Hour 59. Jessa couldn't feel her legs anymore. Bowen and Thomas had rigged a support harness to keep her upright, but she was beyond exhaustion. Beyond pain. She existed in a strange space between consciousness and something else. Dr. Rachel Osei had been talking to her constantly, keeping her grounded. Tell me about your daughter, Jessa. What's her name again? Myra, Jessa whispered. She's 7. Loves starships. Wants to be captain like Mom. She's watching you right now, Rachel said gently. On Earth. Along with 4 billion other humans. And you know what they're seeing? They're seeing someone who doesn't give up. Someone who stands firm even when it's impossible. Tears formed in Jessa's eyes, she couldn't wipe them away. They rolled down her cheeks, but she didn't look away. Couldn't look away. On Earth, in schools and homes and public squares, humans watched in absolute silence. Children who'd never seen their parents cry watched tears stream down adult faces. This wasn't just about territory or politics anymore. This was about dignity. About refusing to be small. Sienna Park's broadcast had been running continuously for almost 60 hours. She looked as exhausted as Jessa, but she kept reporting. We're approaching our 60. Captain Malik has endured hallucinations, physical pain, and psychological pressure that would break most people. But she hasn't looked away. Not once. Her voice cracked with emotion. And I think we need to talk about what this means. For centuries, humans have been the newcomers in galactic politics. We've been cautious, diplomatic, careful not to offend. But right now, Captain Jessa Malik is teaching the galaxy something new. She's teaching them that humans don't bow. We stand. Messages flooded in from other species. The Varine sent a simple message: we are watching. We are hoping. The Korth, subjugated for generations, broadcast: if she succeeds, we will remember this day. Even the Melandha, who'd surrendered their freedom centuries ago, whispered across their networks, perhaps it's not too late for us. Hour 70. Jessa was hallucinating now. She saw her daughter's face in Kelthrus's features. Saw stars forming patterns behind him. Heard music that wasn't there. But through it all, one thing remained constant: her eyes stayed open, stayed focused, stayed locked on the High Warden. Kelthrus himself had begun to show signs of strain. His posture remained perfect, but there was something in his expression now. Wonder. Perhaps even respect. Admiral Pike's voice came through. Captain Malik, this is Pike. 2 hours left. The entire human fleet is standing with you. We're all holding our breath together. Ambassador Derek Holt, who'd arrived hours ago and been in constant communication with the Dominion, added, Jessa, I've learned something. The Dominion Council is divided. Some want you to fail. Others are hoping you succeed. You're not just fighting for humanity. You're fighting for change itself. Hour 71. Jessa could barely form thoughts anymore. Her world had contracted to a single point, Kelthrus's eyes. Everything else was fog and noise. Dr. Rachel Osei was still talking, still breathing with her, still keeping her tethered to reality. Almost there, Jessa. 1 more hour. 60 more minutes. You can do this. Your body is shutting down non-essential functions to keep your eyes open. Your brain is rewiring itself to handle the strain. You're adapting in real time. You're evolving. Thomas was crying at his station. Bowen stood behind Jessa like a guardian, his hand hovering near her shoulder, not touching but present. The entire crew had tears in their eyes. On the Dominion flagship, Kelthrus spoke privately to his officers. Prepare to acknowledge. Acknowledge what, High Warden? Equality. Hour 72. The moment arrived like a thunderclap. Across the galaxy, billions watched their chronometers tick to zero. Jessa Malik had done it. 72 hours of unwavering defiance. 72 hours of refusing to look away. Kelthrus stepped forward on the viewscreen. And then, slowly, deliberately, he bowed his head. He broke eye contact first. The galaxy erupted. On Earth, 4 billion humans screamed in triumph. On Dominion worlds, citizens stood in shock. On subjugated planets, species that had bowed for centuries felt something they'd forgotten: hope. Kelthrus raised his head, and when he spoke, his voice carried across every channel, every broadcast, every corner of known space. Captain Jessa Malik of humanity, you have completed the trial of presence. By the ancient laws of the Dominion, your species is hereby recognized as equals. You have earned first peer status. Jessa tried to respond, but her voice wouldn't come. Her body, pushed beyond all limits, finally gave out. She collapsed, and Bowen caught her before she hit the ground. But she was smiling. Dr. Rachel Osei was at her side instantly. Get her to medical. Now. Thomas, contact Earth, tell them she's alive and she won. As medical staff carried Jessa away, Kelthris continued. Let it be known across all Dominion space and beyond. Humanity has proven themselves. They do not bow. They do not break. They stand as equals among the stars. Arbiter Vexthan appeared on the screen beside Kelthris. The ancient being's eyes shimmered with something that might have been tears. For 800 years, we have waited for this moment. We built our borders not to isolate, but to test. We demanded submission not from cruelty, but to find those brave enough to refuse. Captain Malik, your species has passed a test we began to fear no one would ever pass. Admiral Pike's gruff voice came through. Are you telling us this was all a test? Elder Carrick's materialized in the transmission. Not a test. A filter. Civilizations mature in different ways. Some through conquest, some through diplomacy, some through innovation. But true equals must have one thing, they must believe they are equals. They must refuse to be less, even when facing annihilation. Sienna Park, still broadcasting, was openly weeping. Do you understand what just happened? Humanity didn't just win a staring contest. We changed the entire political structure of the galaxy. Because one exhausted captain was too tired and too stubborn to look away. In her medical bay, Jessa Malik finally closed her eyes. Dr. Rachel Osei monitored her vitals, watching them slowly stabilize. Is she going to be okay? Thomas asked from the doorway. Rachel nodded. She'll need weeks of recovery. Her eyes suffered damage. Her neurological system is exhausted. But yes, she'll be okay. She's stronger than anyone I've ever met. She's a hero, Bowen said quietly. She's human, Rachel corrected with a small smile. Which is apparently the same thing. 3 days later, Jessa woke up. Her eyes were bandaged, but she could hear the sounds of celebration outside her medical bay. When Rachel removed the bandages, Jessa blinked at the soft light. Did we? She asked, her voice hoarse. You did, Rachel confirmed. Humanity has first peer status in the Dominion. 23 subjugated species have already petitioned for their own trials. The Dominion Council is in chaos. Some want to reform the entire system. Admiral Pike is negotiating new treaties. Ambassador Holt is drowning in diplomatic requests. Jessa tried to sit up. And my crew? Safe. Celebrated. Thomas has been offered positions on 5 different ships. Bowen is considering retirement, but I doubt he'll actually go through with it. Rachel paused. Your daughter Myra has become something of a celebrity. She's been telling everyone her mom is the toughest person in the galaxy. Jessa smiled, tears forming in her healing eyes. I just didn't want to look away. Sometimes that's all it takes, Rachel said. One person refusing to blink. One person standing firm. One accidental act of defiance that changes everything. Outside the Horizon Drift, the Dominion fleet had transformed into an honor guard. Human ships flew alongside them, no longer enemies, but equals. And further out, ships from dozens of other species watched with new understanding. The galaxy had changed because Captain Jessa Malik was too exhausted to recognize a ritual, too stubborn to give up, and too human to bow. Sienna Park's final broadcast said it best. Today, we learned that sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply refusing to look away. Captain Malik didn't fight with weapons. She didn't negotiate with words. She just stood there, staring, until the entire galaxy had no choice but to stare back and see humanity as equals. And in the quiet of her medical bay, as Jessa Malik rested her damaged eyes, she smiled. Because she'd accidentally started a revolution with nothing more than exhaustion and stubbornness. Which was, perhaps, the most human thing anyone could do.